Good shot. Oh my!
You can celebrate Georgetown! The Georgetown Raiders are Buckland Cup champions!
The Trenton Golden Hawks, the RWWIT Cup champions, are going to Coburn.
Back to Minerva. Shot scores! And the Coburn Cougars are the Royal Bank Cup champions!
Evans bunting, they score! Frank Poche, the game winner, and the Buckland Cup winner!
Kingston lowered the boom against the Dukes in the CHCH game of the week last Saturday, but it was Wellington that hit them where it hurt the most on the score sheet. More on that coming up in just a moment. This is the OJ Today. Welcome back, everybody. We are down to the last week of regular season play now, and there are still so many scenarios that could take place regarding what the playoff matchups just might look like. OJ broadcaster Alan Corkum will join me shortly via Skype to discuss what exactly is going on. First, though, OJ highlights. And Game 4 on the CHCH Game of the Week calendar saw the Wellington Dukes hosting the Kingston Voyageurs in an East Division showdown. Now, the Dukes could clinch a playoff berth with a win, but Kingston found itself in a much more desperate situation. They sat 9 points out of a playoff berth with 8 games remaining, so it goes without saying they needed a victory in the absolute worst way. OJ highlights now, brought to you by Hilton Hotels. Hilton, the official hotel of the Ontario Junior Hockey League. Wellington had dominated the Vs heading into this contest, having won 4 of 5 games this season, but it's the Vs that draw first blood. Ryan Gibson off to the races. Look at the speed here. Turns on the Jets, beats Logan Bateman glove side. Kingston out to the 1-0 lead. 12 minutes later, the Dukes hit back. Ben Woodhouse gets the feed out front. He wires it past Alexei Masenko. All knotted up at 1 apiece after 20 minutes. Second stanza, the Vs get stripped in their own end. Woodhouse slides it to Andrew Rinaldi. He splits the wickets on Masenko. And Rinaldi, the Dukes' leading scorer this year, adds to his yearly tally. 2-1 Wellington. Some huge, and I mean huge hits in this game. Derek Flynn sends Jacob Thousand into next week. Could have been called interference maybe, but still a gorgeous open ice hit. Dying seconds of the period now. The rubber pops to Adam Usinger out front. He buries it, and the Dukes take a 3-1 lead. Into the dressing room, third frame, they add one more. Masenko does what he can, makes a couple of stops, but Daniel Panetta finishes it off. He makes it 4-1, and that's how it ends up. So Wellington clinches a playoff berth with the win, while Kingston's chances at nabbing the crossover wildcard game gets even slimmer with that loss. One team that has looked very dangerous down the stretch has been the Toronto Patriots, and they continued that trend against the powerful Rangers. First period, Connor Cole, the Arister, from the point that finds daylight behind Jet Alexander, 1-zip Pats. And Toronto had a huge shot advantage in the game, 46-27 overall. Jet coming up with the nice stop right there. And then in the second period, the Patriots' onslaught continues on the power play. Alexander once again getting down and dirty to stymie the chance at the side of the net there. The Rangers managed to strike back. Nice passing by North York. They will get it to Brandon Yeamans out front, and number 91 showing off the soft hands, sliding it past Carter Tack. All tied up at 1 apiece heading into the final 20. Final frame now. Rangers sloppy in their own end, and a beautiful goal here by Josiah the Gazin falling down. He roofs it past Alexander with only 17 seconds left. That would prove to be the winner. And you know, a lot of people thought the Patriots would fade after trading their top 2 scorers at the deadline. That hasn't been the case. They've won 5 of 8 and look to be a nightmare matchup in the playoffs for whoever draws them. 2-1, your final in that game. And this was a huge North Division tilt between 2 squads chasing first place. Markham, Newmarket. Just 1 goal in the game. It came in the second period. Royals on the power play. Mitchell Weeks makes the initial stop. Matt Hyami there to put home the rebound. And that was it for scoring. As just a single point separate these teams right now at the top in the North, with Markham slightly in the lead. Cool Players of the Month for January were announced, brought to you by Cool Sports.
official apparel provider to the OJHL. And the Goalie of the Month award went to Georgetown's Nathan Torkia, and this is getting to be old hat for him, as he won twice last season as well. He posted a 4-1 record with 1 shutout, 0.80 goals against average, which is crazy, and 0.976 save percentage. In the Northwest, it was his teammate getting the nod. Bailey Malala has really come on in the second half of the season for the Raiders, and he's now up to second in team scoring. And for the month of January, he had 6 goals, 9 assists for 15 points. Finally, in the Southeast, Joey Maziarz, the stud defenseman for the North York Rangers, wins it. And Maziarz had 4 goals and 11 assists for 15 points in the month. And of course, Maziarz, he's going to take his talents to Mercyhurst University next fall on a scholarship. Okay, OJ trivia for this week. And who was the OJHL MVP for the 2012-13 season? The first correct answer to our Morocco at the OJHL.ca wins a cool prize pack. This segment of the OJ Today is brought to you by Cliff Bar. Cliff Bar, the official energy bar of the OJHL.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the OJ Today. You know, it's been so tough to watch the Aurora Tigers over the last couple of months. Back in December, the Cats were the runaway leaders in the North Division. Newmarket and Markham were miles behind them, 13 points to be exact. Since then, the Tigers have completely gone off the rails. Nobody is sure of the exact reason, but the squad now sits third in the North and had lost 12 of its last 15 heading into Saturday night's matchup against the Hurricanes.
2 squads heading in opposite directions. Aurora has faded while Newmarket is battling Markham now for first in the North. Canes draw first blood. Sheldon Nolan floats it in from the point, gets it past Filippetti. 1-zip Canes, and they would add to their advantage in the second. Jacob King saunters out, and it's another dribbler past Christian Filippetti. Ouch. 2-0 Newmarket. The Tigers showing some fight, though, on the PP. Mitchell Weeks makes the first stop. Jack Varga slams home the rebound. They cut the deficit to a single goal, and then 8 minutes later, it's Varga again. This time, tipping home the point shot, and the Tigers, even Steven with Newmarket, it was 2-2. But 3 minutes after that, Hurricanes with the man advantage. Claudio De Gasperis rips it past Filippetti to regain the advantage. They would add an empty netter in the third. Aurora now 8 points out of third place in the North. They better keep an eye on Pickering, who's gaining fast. A huge West Division tilt. Georgetown trying to catch Burlington for third in the standings. This game had a playoff atmosphere. 7:26 in. Carson Poulin makes the first stop, but Matt Steen pounds home the rebound. 1-zip. Burlington, 3.5 minutes later. Cool Northwest Player of the Month, Bailey Malala, side of the net, nice. 1-1 at the break. Second stands up, G-Town takes its first lead of the game. Andrew Horsley tips it home to make it 2-1 Raiders, but this time it's the Cougars that answer back, and watch the quick release of Keenan Stewart right there. Itchy trigger finger, beautiful goal. And that would be all the scoring in this one, as Georgetown gets a single point, but they really needed 2 in order to gain ground on the Cats in the West. 2-2 your final. Newmarket was trying to put some distance between itself and Markham at the top of the North. They were hosting Buffalo. No scoring in the first. This was Buffalo's best chance. Sutter Donegan in tight on Mitchell Weeks, but the future Sudbury Wolf equal to the task. Second frame, the Canes break the ice. On the power play, Graham McCrory rips it home for his 8th of the season, and the Canes led 1-zip heading into the final 20 minutes, and they would pad that lead. Beautiful rush by Cole Howren here. Dipsy-do, then he gets it to Adrian Neighbors out front for the tally. Hurricanes cruising. Up 2-0 in the third, but cue the Buffalo comeback. Keep your eye on McCrory right there. Shot comes in from the point. Beautiful tip. Unfortunately, he tips it into his own net. Buffalo on the board, trailing 2-1, and then Newmarket gets sloppy, serving it up on a platter for the Sabres here. Ty Glover will receive and say thanks a lot. He rips the twine. They were all tied up at 2 apiece, but with overtime looking imminent, Jacob King sticks with it on the doorstep here. He shovels it past Jeremy Foreman for the dramatic winner, which is 6 seconds left on the clock, and it's 2 big points for the Canes as they continue their dogfight with Markham for first in the North Division. That's been a crazy battle over the last couple of months. Okay, quick preview of next Saturday's CH Game of the Week, which will feature 2 teams battling for supremacy in the East. Coburg hosting Trenton. Somewhat surprisingly, the Cougars have dominated the Golden Hawks this year, and I say surprisingly because there's been so little to separate them all season. They've gone back and forth in the North for months, but look at that, Coburg has won all 4 matchups. Now the Cougars were the 2017 national champions as they won an overtime thriller on home ice over the Brooks Bandits of the Alberta Junior Hockey League. It was a momentous occasion for the club and the town. And last season, they retooled with an eye on this year, and what a year it's been so far. Led by leading scorers Brett Bannister, Brock Welsh, and Riley McCutcheon, the Cougars are currently ranked 18th in the country. They've won 7 of their last 10 games and are, of course, led by one of the best coaches in junior hockey, former NHLer Jerome Dupont. Trenton Golden Hawks are no strangers to success themselves. They won consecutive Dudley Hewitt Cup championships in 2016 and 17, made it to the semifinals at the 2016 Royal Bank Cup, and they've been one of the OJ's most powerful teams over most of this decade. They've got a passionate, large fan base that travels well, so you can expect to see them in Coburg for this tilt. And they've been led by Stephen Elliott and Tiger McDonald. The Hawks are in the top 5 in OJHL goals scored, yet have allowed the second lowest amount of goals against. Any way you look at it, that is a deadly combination. This is a game you just don't want to miss. Here's the matchup: Trenton at Coburg, Saturday, February 23rd. Coburg Community Center is the place, and puck drop will be at 3 p.m. A reminder, the Scotiabank Fan Favorite Award voting is now wrapped up. It ended on February the 15th. Here were the top 5 heading into the last week. Matt Bumstead, Jordan Crocker sneaks in there from the Georgetown Raiders now, Marcelo Perical, Keenan Stewart, and Brandon Yeamans. Fans had a chance to cast their vote at ojhl.ca. Last season, a record nearly 84,000 votes for cast. And on next week's show, we will tell you who this year's winner is. This week's OJ interview brought to you by Barnburner Hockey. Barnburner, official partner of the OJHL Game of the Week and the OJ Today.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the OJ Today. And joining me now via Skype is OJHL broadcaster Alan Corkum to discuss the playoff races as we head into the last couple of weeks of the regular season. Alan, welcome back, my friend.
Thanks for having me back on the show, Alex.
Well, let's start with the CHCH Game of the Week from last weekend, which you watched. Wellington hosting Kingston. And boy, Kingston, they were the desperate team. Their only hope for the playoffs was to try to nab the crossover spot against the South. But they're just so far behind in terms of points right now. And Wellington, they sure didn't help them out, did they?
No, they didn't for sure. The Dukes put the dagger in at least the East Division standings for Kingston to get involved in. But Kingston got the first goal of the game, even though they're being badly outplayed. But then the Dukes showed their mettle and came on with a strong effort led by Andrew Rinaldi, who had a very strong game. Lots of big hitting, and Logan Bateman had a strong game in net for the Dukes, keeping the Kingston Voyageurs at bay. So it's going to be a tough road for Kingston to get back in the playoffs. I think they've had a streak of so many years in the playoffs, so it's in serious jeopardy right now, especially after this loss to the Dukes.
Yeah, it was a pretty dominating performance by Wellington. I think they outshot them by a 3-1 margin. Let's stay with the East Division for a moment, though. Cobourg and Trenton, they keep switching spots up at the top. They finally got a bit of padding now over third place Whitby. What's your take on the battle at the top of the East Division?
Well, it's been a dogfight all season, but right now the Cougars have a couple of games in hand. They seem to have had Trenton's number in the head-to-head matchups, but as they say, it's all looking good on paper, but it's what happens on the ice is what all that matters. And the game on CHCH, the last Saturday of the regular season between the Hawks and the Cougars, might turn out to be a game for the division title, so watch out for that one. But it's going to be a big, strong effort between Cobourg and Trenton down the stretch to see who can pull ahead of one another. But I would give the edge right now to Cobourg.
Yeah, you're right. It might very well just come down to that last game on CHCH. Should be exciting. In the South, North York are going to win the division, and they will shortly clinch the regular season conference title as well. But the battle for second place between St. Mike's, the Patriots, and the Junior Canadians has been unbelievable, and you get the feeling that that could come down to the final weekend of play as well.
Yeah, all three teams are desperate to avoid playing the North York Rangers in the first round, that's for sure. The St. Mike's Buzzards did themselves some big favors last week with a couple of huge wins against Whitby and even in overtime against this strong Oakville Blades. So maybe St. Mike's have a bit of an edge going into the final week or so of the season. And they're led by Colton Trumbull, who came back from injury, missed some time, but he has 30-plus goals in a season. He's looked very good for St. Mike's. But he can't count out those other teams, the Junior Canadians, led by Eric Ciccolini, Casa Manikas, the NHL draft prospects. They're good and young, but they're hungry as well. And then the Toronto Patriots, they had such a big season last year. They traded some of their big weapons away, but still they have found a way to hang with the other teams in the North, or the South Division, I should say.
Well, in the North, it doesn't look like, well, it is going to be one of Markham or Newmarket. They're going to grab first place. It won't be the Aurora Tigers, though, as they just continue their slide. It's been so tough to watch them recently. And Aurora now needs to watch out for Pickering, who's been making up a lot of ground. The Panthers were at one point 19 points behind Aurora in early December. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like the Tigers have been on a free fall, like Tom Petty would sing, since the coaching change there. Mayor Jaquilo stepped down, and then they brought in Rob DeFulvis. Now they have another coach leading the way. And yeah, it's just been tough times in Aurora right now, but they still have that playoff spot, and that's what they have to do here in the next couple of weeks, get some big wins maybe against these teams. But Pickering has had their number all season with 5 out of 6 games they've won, so we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, the Panthers were talking about maybe just getting that crossover game against Georgetown or whoever in the West, but right now they're gunning for third place. If they can run the table and Aurora keeps struggling, you never know. Aurora might be the ones facing that crossover game in the end.
Well, finally, let's take a look at the West Division, and that's definitely, I know we've said this with a few divisions now, but going to come down to the last weekend of play. Oakville's clinched first. Buffalo will almost certainly finish in second place, but Burlington, Brampton, and Georgetown look like they're going to fight it out until the bitter end for third spot.
Yeah, Georgetown didn't do themselves any favors with a loss last weekend to Brantford, but then the other teams, Burlington and Brampton, had a big game against each other, and Burlington edged that one out, even though they had some tough times against Brampton this season. Covering the teams in the Halton region for your TV and for Rinkside as co-host, they've been very good this year. Seeing the Burlington Cougars, they've had some inconsistencies, but they seem to have some strong games last weekend, and right now they are neck and neck with Brampton to stay ahead of Georgetown in that race. And Brampton, that's the problem with Brampton right now. The games in hand, they don't have as many as Burlington and Georgetown. So Brampton are going to have to be really strong down the stretch. And I know they have a game against Oakville. Burlington has a couple against Oakville as well down the stretch. So tough times for those teams. They're just going to have to play strong and see what happens, both Brampton and Burlington.
Really quick, what's your prediction? Who do you think is going to end up finishing 5th in the West?
I would say Georgetown right now. I think Burlington and Brampton are just going to stay just a step ahead, but I think Georgetown will win a couple of games and at least get that crossover to play either Aurora or Pickering. But still, you never know with the Raiders. They've been coming on a little bit in the new year. You never know. They might upset the North Division and go ahead, and we'll see what happens.
Excellent, my friend. Always love getting you on and having your expertise on the situation. Look for Alan, of course, on your TV. He's the broadcaster for Halton Region. Alan, thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Alex. Take care.
Okay, OJ News and Notes now brought to you by Warrior Hockey. Warrior, official partner of the CHCH Game of the Week and the OJ today. And this is big stuff. Joseph Mitzi, the sniper for the Aurora Tigers, has signed a professional contract. He will join the Utah Grizzlies of the East Coast Hockey League immediately to begin play. Now, Mitzi was the OJHL's leader in the scoring race, having put up 32 goals, 33 assists, for 65 points in just 45 games. Mitzi previously spent time in both the OHL and QMJHL, and he'll join a Utah squad that has some OJ flavor to it, with 3 former league players currently on the squad. For the Tigers, it stings to lose him, but for Joseph, it's a tremendous opportunity. Congrats, Joe. We wish you luck with your professional career. This segment of the OJ Today is brought to you by Troy Hockey Apparel. Troy, the official jersey of the OJHL.
Well, don't look now, but the Pickering Panthers are on the rise once again. It was looking pretty certain they'd have to play a crossover game with whatever team finished 5th in the West by virtue of the Panthers having a lower point total, but the Cats are threatening to keep that playoff spot all to themselves. They'd won 3 of 4 and had pulled to within 6 points of Georgetown when they faced off against Brampton on Saturday.
Pickering is also closing in on Aurora in the North Division, something that seemed unthinkable just a short time ago, and they draw first blood. Nathan Porter squeezes it past Matthew Lukic. Pickering out to the 1-0 lead. Brampton responds, and it's a masterpiece. Maxwell Steeves shreds the Pickering defense and dances past Tanner Shepard. Knots it up 1-1. 9 minutes later, Brampton on the attack again. Shepard makes the big stop. Justin Vernace right there to bang home the rebound. And it's 2-1 Admirals at the break. Second frame. Really nice goals in this game. Look at the passing by Pickering here. Tic-tac-toe. Ethan Cardwell providing the finish. And all tied up again. With just 5 seconds left in the period, Joe Franson has the puck pop right to him out front. He knocks it past Lukic. Pickering goes up 3-2, and they would never relinquish that lead again. They'd go back and forth in the third. The Panthers skate away with the 6-3 win as they continue their strong recent play. Okay, the Patriots trying to hold on to second place in the South, but that seems to change daily. Hosting Coburg, and Toronto opens the scoring. Jackson Alexiev had a huge game. Puts home the rebound, 1-zip pass. Second stanza was mostly Cougars. Jason Stashelback waltzes in, snaps it past Mario Pescia. All tied up, 1-1. 19 seconds later, Pescia gives up the juicy rebound. George Kotorish steins out on it. Cougars take the 2-1 advantage. Just 55 seconds after that, Riley McCutcheon gets in on the fun, and it was 3-1 for the boys in green. 3 goals in 70 seconds. Ouch. The Pats needed to respond. They did. Jackson Alexiev stops, pops it top shelf, and their deficit is cut to 3-2. Third period, Alexiev grabs the hat trick. 16 tallies on the season now for Jackson, as that pulls the Pats to within 1, but that would be as close as they get on this day as the Cougars add an empty netter and they take it 5-3. Okay, West Division showdown as the Blades hosted the Junior Sabres. The Americans draw first blood. Scott Ramaker steals the puck and fires it past Will Barber. 1-zip for the Buffalonians. The Blades would equalize. Traffic in front of Hannon Caleb here. Josh Nixon just continues to impress. 40 points in 44 games now for Josh. Second period, Buffalo retakes the lead. Ty Glover, look at the moves. Lovely. 2-1 for the Sabres. Final stanza, all Oakville. First, Ryan O'Hara will snap it past Caleb to knot it up 2-2. And then Spencer Kirsten grabs his first of 2 on the evening. He's got all the time in the world to tee it up. That gives Oakville a lead they would never relinquish. They add 2 more in the third to cruise to the 5-2 victory. Stouffville sit last in the North, but they gave powerful Whitby all it could handle last weekend. Although it was the Fury that struck first, Jacob DiDonelli will finally knock the puck past Damon Beaver, and it's 1-zip. Midway through the first, though, the Spirit respond. Jordan Giacomin, boom, smokes the one-timer past Luke Pearson, 1-1 after 20. Second stanza, it's a Jackman again with the scintillating one-time shot, 2-1. Spirit, they wouldn't tally again, however. Noah Bull finds the twine with the vicious wrist shot to tie it up 2-2. And then in the final frame, Whitby applying the sustained pressure here. And finally, it's going to be Greg Smith getting it over to Nick Lund at the side of the net, and the former Lindsay Muskie nets the game winner as the Fury managed to hold on to drop the Spirit and at least stay within striking distance of first place in the East Division. OJ standings now brought to you by Jostens, the official ring and awards provider to the OJHL. We start in the West. Take a look at Burlington, Brampton, and Georgetown. That's a battle that is ongoing and may not be decided until the final weekend of the regular season. In the North, Markham, Newmarket are vying for first. Aurora continues its slide, and keep an eye on Pickering as they've got momentum in the South. North York, big lead, but St. Mike's, the JRCs, and the Pats, that's also a close battle for second place. And in the East, Cobourg and Trenton just 2 points separating. Whitby not far behind, but Cobourg and Trenton, the last CHCH game of the week on the 23rd, is going to be a dandy. Top 5 brought to you by Chaos. Chaos Hats, the official headwear provider to the Ontario Junior Hockey League. Number 5, we just saw it. Whitby's Noah Bull with the vicious wrist shot that beats Damon Bieber to help the Fury down the Spirit. Number 4, Josiah the Gazan of the Patriots against North York, falling down no less out front. He roofs it to win the game for the Pats with just 17 seconds left. Number 3, Ty Glover of Buffalo against Oakville on the breakaway, undresses Will Barber, soft hands. Number 2, Pickering in Brampton, the Admirals, Maxwell Steeves just shreds the Panthers defense and then finishes behind Tanner Shepard. Beautiful rush by the Brampton Sniper. And number 1 from the CHCH game of the week, Derek Flynn unloads on Jacob Thousand with the massive open ice hit. Might have been interference, but well, one of the best hits of the year regardless. And that right there is our Chaos play of the week.
And that's all the time we've got for today. Just remember, though, to keep up to date with everything regarding the league, you can always head to ojhl.ca. And, of course, all of your social media options are right there for you to check out as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.